Welcome to the College Football Bros. I am Michael Newman.
And I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, this is the final episode of our four-part series. If you haven't already, be sure to watch our videos on why Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Clemson will or won't win the national title. Today, we're going to talk about Alabama, the favorite. So let us know your comments, or let us know in the comments your predictions for what Alabama is going to do in the playoff against Notre Dame and potentially Clemson or Ohio State. We are going to start with the positive, as we have done in this series, and let's give the reasons why Alabama will win it all, starting with the offense.
Well, where do you begin? Anyone that's watching this knows how ridiculous Bama is on offense. A year after watching LSU's record-setting offense, now we're treated to Mac Jones, DeVonta Smith, Najee Harris. The list goes on and on. I mean, just look at the last couple weeks. Najee Harris has 5 touchdowns in the SEC Championship. You try to put more in the box to stop him. Mac Jones is slicing apart secondaries left and right. And one thing I do notice when I watch Bama and their offensive line is Jones is able to stand back in that pocket and wait for long routes to develop before throwing a dime to one of them. So he definitely benefits from that extremely talented and great offensive line. Mix in DeVonta Smith, a little bit of special teams factor here. He's returning punts now. They're just a juggernaut. There's no other way you can say it. They could take advantage of, in their first game against Notre Dame, the Irish corners, Lewis and McLeod. They would definitely do a great against Ohio State's weak secondary too if they were to match up. And then I'd be really fascinated with the Clemson matchup. But their offense is amazing.
Yeah, and even after they lost Jalen Waddle for the year, there's just this haven't missed a beat. Like, what team could lose like maybe a top 5 wide receiver in the nation and still have like the best offense in the country?
He might have been the best. Like, there was a debate between him and DeVonta Smith at the time.
Fair. I just didn't want to ruffle any feathers here early, but it's just. Like Trey mentioned, the protection that Mac Jones gets, I mean, they makes him look even. I mean, he's a quarterback, no doubt about it, but they make him even look even better than probably he is. Like, and DeVonta Smith is just, looks like he's odds-on favorite right now to win the Heisman. A lot of places have him the favorite, so It's just insane the amount of firepower they have. And Najee Harris, talk about balance and speed and vision. I mean, he hits the hole and he just like chops his feet. He kind of like dances a little bit. It's like he's just a pleasure to watch. So, I mean, it's, this team has scored more than 40 points, 10 straight games. It's over 50 in the last 3, I think it was. They're just, I mean, not a hard way to talk too positive about this team. They're just too good.
Yeah, and I love you guys talking about how much time Mac Jones has back there sometimes, because a lot of people have been giving Sark a ton of credit for the job he's done this year, and for sure, like, he's been great. He's called an amazing offense for Alabama. But when they show some of those route combinations that he draws up, and this guy running open, it's like, I mean, I would love, as a USC fan, if we could protect Keaton Slovis for that long, and sure we'd have tons of guys open. It's just it's amazing
with those weapons
USC
has too.
Yeah, it was amazing what you can do when you've got a great offensive line. And one point I want to bring up about this offense, SP Plus right now has them rated higher than it had LSU's offense at the end of last year. So after LSU went 15-0, this
amazing.
Alabama offense right now is higher according to that metric, which is just insane.
Astounding.
Yeah. So,
I mean, wow,
crazy. All right, let's get to the defensive side of the ball. Ryan, why is the defense good enough to win it all?
Because their offense is the best ever.
Just
the defense is good, and you after that Ole Miss game early in the year, you kind of thought like, oh, this is still kind of the same Bama defense from last year that had some troubles. I mean, they had a lot of injuries last year and stuff, but they weren't, the Bama defense that we've come to know. But they've righted the ship quickly after that. They played much better, and really up until the Florida game here, where Florida was an elite offense. Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts, Davis Tony, those are some elite playmakers, and you're not going to shut that team down. And they did a good job in that game of making things hard I thought on Kyle Trask. I thought Trask just like willed that offense, and it wasn't so much Bama not playing that well. I just thought it was Trask just playing so awesome. And they have a lot of studs out there. Their secondary, we kind of thought going into the year for Bama was going to be a little bit maybe of their weak point. Turned out to be a strength. This secondary is playing great. Patrick Surtain has been awesome, but then you got some new guys, like Malachi Moore, Brian Branch, and Daniel Wright. So just some guys that you didn't necessarily expect have played really, really well. They've got some good stats to back up their secondary. So, and we all know that they have some studs up front. I'll kind of let you guys touch more on that, but just this has been a very good defense this year, and they've stayed relatively healthy. Has kind of been the difference, I think, from last year. So it's a good group.
Yeah. I can speak to the group up front. The talent is insane there. You got Christian Barmore, Christopher Allen, and the freshman Will Anderson as the kind of leading pass rushers. They've been doing great. It's just like, I think the key thing is against Florida, because we're all feeling great about this Bama defense. So they're talking about how they've righted the ship since that Ole Miss game. That was the narrative, and it was happening. I mean, they were shutting down offenses. Granted, maybe not the best slate of offenses, but still, they made them look terrible. I can totally forgive what happened against Florida because that's 2020. Like, Kyle Trask is having, a Heisman caliber season himself. Yeah. So he's going to do that to defenses. I don't blame the defense too much for that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, when you look at their first game, Alabama, Notre Dame does not have the firepower that Florida has. So I'm not too concerned about that Bama defense going up against the Irish. And we didn't even touch on kind of the middle part of that defense. Dylan Moses, Christian Harris, they're tackling machines at linebacker. Harris should be actually closer to full strength. He was kind of questionable going into the SEC championship. Still played pretty well. Another corner, Job, had a bunch of pass deflection. They had a few blips, but overall it's an improved unit.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay. Any other positives? That was kind of a glowing review of Bama, I guess.
They have a head coach that's like decent. You might have heard of him.
He's not bad.
A little bit of experience.
Teams. They got themselves a kicker.
That's
true.
That's true.
Yeah.
There you have it. All right.
It's been a weak point.
It has for sure. So let's get to why Alabama will not win the national championship. This is a tougher question to answer for sure. The loss of Landon Dickerson at center hurts. Of course, offensive line is one of their strengths. He got hurt late in the SEC title. That was sad to see for sure. Been a good leader for them. So that's one factor. And I know we just got done saying how amazingly talented that defense is, and kind of trying to diminish what happened against Ole Miss and what happened against Florida. But those games do show that if you have an elite passing game, you can give Alabama a run for their money. Like, you can nearly go score for score with them. And like you say, Notre Dame doesn't have an elite passing game, but Clemson does, and Ohio State, if Justin Fields is right, does. So that's those teams could beat Bama. If Florida can almost beat Bama, so can those teams.
Yeah, those were my exact two concerns here too, like why they won't necessarily win it all. Do think they'll get past Notre Dame even if they don't play their best. But the Landon Dickerson, the center, calling all the plays, calling all the protections. That's a huge piece, and he was kind of a motivator too. Loved his passion that he brought onto the field.
Oh yeah, the whole team rallied around them.
I know. So he was certainly a respected player for them. And then just Trevor Lawrence factor when if they end up playing him, which is what we're all predicting. He's just beaten Bama before, and he's proven that he can pass against a really, really good defense. He might just be kind of like Kyle Trask was in the SEC title game. He's just so good that you can't stop him. Like, you can slow him down, make it hard on him, but he's going to find a way to move that ball, and he's going to find a way to put up some points. So, and then, the other factor is just could be some turnover luck. If that Clemson game is close, it could just be a muff punt here. One tip ball turns into an interception. The luck factor is involved in any game, and could be in this one as well.
Yeah, and of course we've all kind of touched on why if they don't win, it would be because of their defense, and we understand why. And Ohio State and Clemson, their offenses are very balanced. So obviously we've talked about Alabama in the secondary could be a little bit vulnerable, but maybe it's Trey Sermon and Ohio State running wild, or ETN for Clemson. And the one thing is, if it is Clemson, they're also not only balanced on offense, but they have a balanced team overall where they're good. They're very good on defense as well.
Yeah.
So they got both of them. And after seeing what Florida could do to them, Bama's not invincible. There's no reason that Clemson couldn't do the same with an even better defense.
That's fair. Okay, let's get to our predictions. If you've watched our first 3 episodes where we went over the other playoff teams, you already know what we're going to say here. But Trey, what do you have here?
Yeah, so against Notre Dame, I'm not giving the Irish much of a chance. I think Alabama will easily come out on top. I got them 42-24, as you can see, very similar to for all of us. Notre Dame will give a spirited effort, since they know the narrative of constantly being blown out in the big games. But I think Bama they might go through the motions earlier after that tough Florida game, but then they'll kind of step on their throat late. And then in the national title, I know Alabama's the big favorite and they deserve to be. I'm just going to go against the grain a little bit, and I'm taking Clemson 31-30. The metrics, the numbers, the offense all favor Alabama, but Clemson has really just flipped that switch in the last few games. Lawrence and ETN, they're not scared, Dabo. They're not scared of Bama. And I think they can take advantage of the Bama defense like Trask and the Gators did. I see a back and forth game, and maybe the Tigers can pull off the mild upset.
Yeah, wow. We have very similar numbers here. Alabama, same score, and then Clemson, the same score. Trey, you just kind of messed us up in the title game by not giving Alabama 38.
Yeah.
But, it's very similar thought process here. Just Alabama's too good for Notre Dame, too much firepower. Notre Dame just probably won't be able to keep up, even though, it's been a great year for the Irish. I don't have them covering the spread. I guess that's maybe going to be a big factor, whether or not Notre Dame can just cover the spread. I think I'm going to give the edge to Bama. Although Bama's long streak of covering the spread did come to an end in that SEC title game. They had been blowing out folks before that. And then in the national title game, I think Alabama just gets that edge against Clemson. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be neck and neck. Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones are going to duel it out, and they both have very good defenses. Just think in the end, Alabama has a little more firepower with Najee Harris and DeVonta Smith on the outside. So give them a slight edge, because I just think they have the slightly better offense.
Yeah, and my predictions are very similar to Ryan's. Just to reiterate, we did not consult with each other about these picks. They just happened to be very, very close. But yeah, I've got Bama 42-24 over Notre Dame. You guys laid that out well. And in the national title, Bama 38-31 over Clemson. Clemson might have the better defense. I think they do. And when Trevor Lawrence and the defense has been healthy, they've been nearly as dominant as Alabama. So I don't think that we should just hand the trophy to Alabama. I think that there's, they're the deserving odds-on favorite, but it's not like a 90% favorite to win it all. No. I think it's, something more like 60%, 55, something like that to go through these 2 games. So we shall see.
Yeah, I really think Clemson can give them a run for their money, assuming they get there. I'm looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Well, thank you for watching the College Football Bros. If you enjoyed all 4 of these episodes breaking down the 4 playoff teams, be sure to give them all a thumbs up, share them with your friends. We've been, mostly an audio podcast for the last few years, but we're trying to get into YouTube here and build up an audience there. So would really appreciate your help hitting that thumbs up and subscribing. So also check out those 3 episodes if you haven't watched them. So thank you, and we will see you next time.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.